Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labour and Social Welfare on the protection of Kenyan citizens who work in Saudi Arabia. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should explain the bilateral agreement between Kenya and Saudi Arabia, which improve terms of employment, rights and privileges of domestic workers and their employers, has been implemented. Number two, explain whether the government, having allowed Saudi Arabia to start recruiting Kenyan citizens, mostly domestic workers, is equally protecting them as they carry out their employment. Number three, state whether the domestic workers in Saudi Arabia have access to their wages, free housing, health insurance, transport, and food, as the agreement has set out. Number four, state whether the recruitment agencies are licensed and held accountable for their well-being of the domestic workers. Number five, explain whether there exists a legal framework that enhances cooperation between Kenya and Saudi Arabia to protect the rights of both employers and domestic workers and regulate their contractual relationships. Number six, state whether the Kenyan embassy in Saudi Arabia can act as an agent to protect the Kenyan domestic workers who are victims of abuse and detention without reasonable cause. And number seven, explain whether the government will intervene and compel the release of domestic workers, Kenyan citizens, who are currently detained and their travel documents withheld by their employers in Saudi Arabia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.